What's going on, Dolphins? It is your boy Dillon, and I am here with you today because I got a small update. Who knows, there may be more later, so maybe I'll make another video, but there is one small update to this ongoing battle between the NFLPA and the NFL as to, the protocols, the regulations, the measures, the rules, the policies, all of that stuff, right? So, and everything that needs to be decided on prior to the start of training camp, which is now in 13 days. So let's go ahead and get right into this. This is from ESPN staff writer Dan Graziano. Source: injury classification for virus is sticking point in NFL and NFLPA talks. Okay, so the NFL responded Tuesday night to the NFLPA's counter proposal on coronavirus-related reopening protocols, but a source told ESPN that some major issues remain unresolved, including a dispute over whether COVID-19 should be classified as a non-football injury. Okay, so real quick before we actually get into the ramifications of the certain injury designations, let's just note a couple things, right? So first of all, coronavirus is obviously not a football related injury per se, right? Like, just by playing football, you don't get the virus. It's not a normal, reasonable symptom or injury or whatever outcome of simply playing football or any sport. However, it is a symptom of bringing groups of people together and putting them in close proximity, right? And so during a pandemic, and considering that the virus is highly transmissible, right? So, and to be fair, a lot of these guys could get it outside of football, including, whoever brings it into the building or to the facilities that causes the eventual outbreaks that I'm fairly certain, unfortunately, are going to occur. Obviously, they had to get it somewhere outside of the facility to bring it into the facility to begin with, right? So, on the one hand, simply on its face, right, I understand why it wouldn't necessarily be a football injury. However, because of the fact that it's not, first of all, it's not an actual injury, right, per se either. It's a virus, which is different. Like, which means it's contagious, right? Like, broken bones are not contagious, right? So if, like, or a torn ACL, right? Like, if one dude tears his ACL, the rest of the team's not gonna, like, magically tear their ACLs because it's not contagious, right? But because of the nature of the virus itself, because it's highly transmissible, because it's, a virus to begin with, and everything that comes along with that, et cetera, and then bringing people together, and in particular, forcing the situation. So the simple fact that they are forcing the season to open and training camp to open and all of these guys to come together, right? That's what kind of negates the fact that it's not per se a football specific related injury. Anyway, I just wanted to get that out there. According to sources, the NFLPA has made several requests of the league, including daily COVID-19 testing, the elimination of all preseason games, financial and other compensation for players who opt out of playing for COVID-related reasons, and a provision that would keep the 2021 salary cap from going down due to lost 2020 revenue. So we already know about all that. Real quick, also though, the designation is important. So let's get to that, because that's how, it's always to the same end. It's always financial for these fuckers. But one source said Wednesday that a major sticking point is that the league's proposal so far would classify COVID-19 as a non-football injury. And like I said, to some degree and on its face, okay, but since it's not because it's a contagious virus, and because you are forcing these people to come together, makes it a football related thing, right? They are forcing it to become a byproduct of football operations is what I'm getting to, right? Because if they didn't have these football operations and forced these people to come back into training camp and then subsequently play games, then sure, they could get it elsewhere, but it would be drastically decreased in probability, right? Just like, you know, I go out to the store every once in a while to get groceries or whatever, but that's like maybe once a week at most. And, you know, that's a way to minimize the amount of risk of exposure, etc. But for people who are like just going to the beaches and going out to restaurants, etc., you are needlessly putting yourself into harm's way. And not only that, but in situations that where it's highly likely, when you know, pack people into restaurants or movie theaters, etc., right? So they are making it a byproduct of football operations. Anyway, the players are pushing back on that because when a team places a player on the non-football injury list, it is not required to pay that player. That's the big part there, right? So this is yet another way. They already want the players to sign waivers so they won't be held accountable, you know, should they get sick or die from it. They want to hold 35% of their salaries in escrow, and they also want them to take pay cuts. Now, they, in addition, if they do get it, they also want to make sure that it's a non-football injury, so that way they don't have to pay them. I mean, just every turn, every time we come around a corner, there's a new despicable way that the NFL and the owners are just trying to ensure that they continue to rake in their profits at the expense of the players and the fans, etc. Hypothetically, if a player contracts the virus during a practice or a game and is placed on the NFI list as a result, his team would have the right not to pay him during his absence. Obviously, the NFLPA is fighting to avoid such a scenario. Hovering over the discussions is the spike in coronavirus cases in states like Texas, Arizona, and California, not to mention Florida, which is one of the worst states, and the increasing possibility that those states might soon be implementing shutdown provisions that would limit large gatherings. Should that happen, it's possible teams in those states wouldn't be able to hold training camps. An earlier NFL-NFLPA agreement stipulates that teams this year are required to hold training camps at their own team facilities, and that if any team cannot open its facility, no team will be allowed to open its facility. For that reason, even though the league has insisted it plans to start training camps in the regular season on time, there remains a possibility that external circumstances could force a delay to the start of either or both. As of early Wednesday afternoon, there were no more formal talks scheduled between the NFL and NFLPA, though it's expected they will speak again soon. The NFLPA was holding an internal planning call Wednesday afternoon to discuss the NFL's latest proposal, and the union also was holding a previously scheduled call with player agents later Wednesday afternoon. So there are still some developments, but it is Wednesday. They only got a couple more days, right? 2 more days in the work week to get these things hammered out. But they have 13 days until training camp opens. And again, I mean, look, it gets repetitive, and I hate repeating myself as much as people hate hearing me repeat myself. So look, I've said it all, man. This is all headed in the wrong direction. I've told you all this before. Things are going to eventually get shut down anyway because the people in power are irresponsible, incompetent, and greedy, and just don't really, frankly, give a fuck, right? And only care about their profits, their precious stock portfolios, blah, 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 blah. And they want to make sure that all of the risk, all of the damage, all of the cost and losses goes to the people, right? They want to privatize the games and socialize the losses and the costs, right? So they want to give us all that, but keep all the profits for themselves. And that's just how it is, because that's the world that has been built by human beings almost since the inception of civilized human society, right? Or even before then. It's always been like this, but capitalism is a system in which is designed to do exactly this, because it only cares about profits and not people or the planet or any of that. So you guys get it. I've said it a million times. But you know, I'm being proven right. And, you know, I don't want to be, because this whole thing is going to end up a massive disaster. People are going to get sick and die, and it's just a mess. But unfortunately, no one ever listens, at least not the important people or the people in power. So this is what we have to deal with, and this is what we can unfortunately expect going forward. And I find it unimaginable that the season will not at some point shut down in its entirety. And we are inching certainly closer and closer to that every day. So with that, guys, I'm going to get out of here. I hope you guys enjoy and appreciate my perspectives. If you do, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you hit the bell if you want to get the alerts. Share my channel and videos with your friends and family. Leave your questions, comments, and concerns down in the comment section. And of course, as always, make sure you follow me on Twitter at Dillon Tartaro. And with that, I am out. I'll see y'all soon. Fins up.